Hello Internet, my name is Lave and 2019 is over and done with now, so it's time to talk about my favourite and least favourite movies I watched in 2019. Now, as ever, I didn't get to see every movie released this year. Like, time is a commodity, and this year more than any other year that I've been doing my movie reviews on YouTube, there were films that I just thought, I'm not going to enjoy that, so I'm not going to see it, like Cats, for example. There are also films that I have seen but I haven't reviewed. For a film to qualify on either of these lists, I have to have reviewed them. So enough of the small talk, let's get on with this.
Number 10.
Charlie's Angels. This one was written and directed by Elizabeth Banks and was a semi-sequel soft reboot of the other movies and TV shows. I liked the girls, the new angels, but ultimately this didn't really offer anything new in an overcrowded market, and I thought all of the action stuff was pretty bland.
Number 9.
Midway. Roland Emmerich's war epic had so much potential and really should have been made into a mini TV series akin to Band of Brothers or The Pacific, where it could have devoted more time to its characters, who are real people. The film actually portrays real people and real events. Instead, all of that comes off as a bit cliched, and it's all crammed into a 2-hour plus movie, which wasn't all that much better than Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor.
Number 8.
Welcome to Marwen. This one was directed by Robert Zemeckis, the guy behind Back to the Future and Forrest Gump and so many other movies that I adore from my childhood, and I never thought I'd be putting one of his films on my least favourite of the year list. I'd completely forgotten about this one, to be honest, until I was scrolling through all of my previous videos, and I was like, oh yeah, and I remembered how much I was looking forward to it and how let down I felt by it, so that's why it's on the list.
Number 7.
Pet Sematary. This was the other Stephen King adaptation alongside It and Doctor Sleep. I must say I'm not the biggest fan of the horror genre, and I especially find Stephen King adaptations very hit or miss. This one was a miss, but I understand people who are a fan of Stephen King and the horror genre, why they like this, but this one just wasn't for me.
Number 6.
Dumbo. I know The Lion King has taken a lot of heat and criticism for basically being just a complete remake of the original animation. Tim Burton's Dumbo did actually try something different and added a whole bunch of characters to its interpretation, but in all honesty, I can't see myself watching Dumbo again, and I probably would watch The Lion King again.
Number 5.
Hellboy. Another superhero reboot, and I remember seeing the initial trailers for this thinking, oh wow, they're taking it in a leaner, meaner and darker direction for the Dark Horse comic character, but instead it was a complete retread of what Guillermo del Toro has already done in his films, just not as good, so that's why it's my number 5.
Number 4.
Men in Black International. This is the 4th film in the franchise of diminishing returns, and even though they've tried to inject it with some new blood with basically the cast of Thor Ragnarok, it wasn't funny enough, and the whole Men in Black formula feels very formulaic and bland, and yeah, I'm pretty much done with the Men in Black franchise.
Number 3.
The Playmobil movie. I get that this one is for kids, but then you could argue that the Lego movie is just for kids, which this film is so blatantly trying to replicate, and the difference between the two is that adults also found the Lego movie appealing, so it appealed to everyone, whereas the Playmobil movie tried to be this kind of like weird musical thing at some point, and I'm pretty sure that most kids today would find it pretty boring as well.
Number 2.
Black Christmas. I reviewed this one quite recently, so it's still fresh in my mind. I think it's trying to be a gender satire with a not so subtle metaphor, wrapped in the most generic, boring and underwhelming slasher movie like ever. And it's also a remake of a remake, apparently. Yeah, I didn't like this one.
Number 1.
Last Christmas. Okay, so spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Last Christmas, but the entire premise of this film has literally been inspired by the words and lyrics of George Michael. So Emilia Clarke's character, Last Christmas, was given a heart and now she's haunted by the ghost of the donor. And I don't know. I just think films that have a twist like that, you shouldn't be able to see the twist coming. And within the first 15 and 20 minutes, I guessed it. And then when they revealed it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this has been written by an Oscar-winning writer. So yeah, that's why it was my number one, Bah Humbug. So that's my list. Objectively, maybe not the worst films of the year. These were just my least favourite movies that I saw. So keep an eye out for my favourite movies list coming up very shortly. And as always, thanks very much for checking out my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give it a like. Don't forget to share the Lave.
Subscribe.